How's it going, everyone? Nick here, and welcome to the show. I want to talk about why NIO has had one of its best trading weeks in its entire history. Can this growth be sustained? Where is NIO planning on taking their company in the future months, quarters, and years? And should you risk waiting for the share price to significantly dip or buy in as soon as possible for long-term gains? I'll be covering everything you need to know about this stock, this company, and their short-term moves. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I do a ton of videos like this going over EV stocks, tech stocks, IPOs, everything and anything personal finance. I focus on disruptor companies and strive to help you take control of the stock market and navigate yourself to big-time gains. Make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. We love the YouTube algorithm. All right, NIO gang, 16.24% single day gain. What in the world is going on? I'm so happy for this company's success. I started investing in this company at $3 per share, and they kind of feel like my baby at this point, all growing up. So what were the catalysts that drove this absolutely enormous surge? Well, there was indeed a mixture of catalysts, of which we'll get to. The primary factor which catalyzed this reaction was news coming out of Hebei province, China, declaring that NIO had indeed rolled out their 5,000th vehicle of the month. I think NIO should change their slogan from Blue Sky Coming to Blue Skies f***ing here. Now, although this is a very significant accomplishment for this company, the fact that this was the milestone that drove up the share price is actually quite funny to me. If you've tuned into my videos before, you would have been well aware that this milestone was going to happen in the month of October. It was just going to happen. Li Bin practically had to spell it out in that Bloomberg interview he just did. He declared in this interview that the only reason they hadn't previously hit this milestone is that their supply chain essentially grinded to a halt, as earlier in the year they had forecast many less deliveries due to the health situation. They didn't think they would see this surge. He said in the interview that much of the supply chain had been restored and that supply was beginning to catch up to demand, signifying increased sales in October and moving forward. My charting and trend lines point to a delivery number somewhere around 51 to 5,200, but as I said in the past video, I wouldn't be surprised with even more. It was very clear this was going to happen, so I kind of chuckled to myself when outside investors and investors groups entered a feeding frenzy on NIO stock on October 29th. It's almost like they hadn't believed in the success of this company, their huge possibilities to become a giant in the EV world, and their incredible potential. Well, NIO gang, we all knew this was going to happen. I've been touting this company for months and months, and I see y'all crush in the comments section. We all knew the potential. It's funny to me that people continue to doubt this company and need some analyst from Morgan Stanley to tell them to buy before they actually do. If we've learned one thing from this year, it's the future landscape is electric. Do not doubt the impact they are going to have on our economy, the automobile market, and the entire world. We are living in the very primacy of electric vehicles. They are wee infants, and we are extremely lucky to be around for this drastic disruptor rolling through town. As we all most likely remember that pop 2 weeks ago triggered by JP Morgan's bull position on the company, the next culprit to join the movement was Morgan Stanley. MS analyst Tim Xiao, somebody tell me how to say that, published a report titled "A Strong EV Leader in the Making." I think before even reading the intricacies of this report, Wall Street investors just gobbled up shares of this company. Xiao, yeah, I'm going with that, cited better than expected Q3 delivery numbers, a very likely event of increased margins moving into the latter half of the year in terms of vehicle margin and the overall gross margin, and an updated view on long-term take rate of NOP. In layman's terms, just declaring superior net operating profits moving forward. Morgan Stanley raised their price target of NIO to $33, which was an increase of 61% from their previous estimation of $20.50. It's worth noting that NIO is just $1 under this estimate, so what does that mean for investors? I think it's unfortunate so many investors rely on these massive banks to place valuations on companies, and so heavily stick to their ideas, but it's just the truth. In saying that, I would not be surprised if this $33 becomes a resistant line for the next few days, if not weeks. In saying that, I by no means think that Morgan Stanley are placing an accurate valuation on this company whatsoever. I'm not sure they fully understand where this company is headed in the short, medium, and long term, the potential of battery as a service, the Chinese subsidy taxes, and the historically bulging of auto sales in the later months of the year. So whether or not this price target becomes a new resistant line remains unclear as of right now, but it's important to remember that JP Morgan placed a price target of $40, so keep that number in mind for later months as well. Morgan Stanley declares that NIO is essentially outperforming their expectations expectations in virtually every single category. They cite NIO's operational breakthrough, their strategic investments, and outside investors' willingness to invest in electric vehicles right now. They are saying that these catalysts may propel the stock to epic proportions in the coming 18 to 24 months. They are praising NIO's very impressive margins and business model. You may be aware that unlike companies like Tesla that essentially oversee every part of the operation, the design, manufacturing, and output of the vehicles, NIO essentially outsources the entire manufacturing process as they don't own their own factory and are not vertically integrated. Many people thought this business model would not be able to succeed. However, NIO is proving all of these naysayers wrong. I do, however, think that once they do reach a certain ever-approaching monthly output, they should vertically integrate and build their own factory, ensuring they are able to scale up the supply as the demand rapidly escalates. The report finishes by stating that they expect the EV competition to increase in the coming years. However, NIO should be able to ward off these competitors trying to replicate their strategy, as now they have a fantastic brand recognition, a strong foothold in the industry, applicable subsidy programs, infrastructure already in place, and are exponentially scaling up in size. It's clear all these big banks and analysts are only now catching up to what we've been saying for months. This company will continue to succeed and continue for so many reasons. There are very few things this company is doing wrong and an infinite amount of things they're doing right. As next week we all know is one of the biggest elections happening in recent memory, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the overall stock market all over the place. Basically a 50-year-old divorced dad coming back from a bar night with the boys. It's going to be knocking over everything, going all over the place, not making much sense, and probably vomiting somewhere. For that reason, I'm not going to focus too heavily on the markets next week, just my regular weekly dollar cost averaging and sitting tight for the meantime. I would not be surprised to see somewhat of a correction and profit taking to occur in the next few days. We have seen very similar sharp increases take place in NIO's history, almost always followed by a sharp correction a few days later. It's also important to remember that NIO's October numbers being released next week now won't have the same zing they would have had if NIO hadn't released news of their 5,000th delivery. So much of the success of this month has already been priced into the share price. It's also important to remember that NIO's Q3 earnings report will be released very soon, and much of this success has already been spilled into the mainstream media and therefore is already priced in as well. Now that being said, if you truly believe in the future potential of this company and are here for the long term and really see NIO becoming a dominant player in the EV sphere, it doesn't overly matter when you buy these shares. For me personally, I am waiting for a dip day to buy bulk amount of shares, but if I don't see a substantial dip within a few weeks, I will continue to dollar cost average my way to the clouds. There is so much upside to this company, and we are really just witnessing the beginning. This company is going to be an absolute powerhouse in the EV world, and I can't wait to be along for the ride. Anyways, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and hit that subscribe button. I do a ton of videos like this. You don't want to miss any of these updates. Let's go, NIO gang. Blue skies coming. Happy trading. Cheers.